Hello, I'm Charles Davis, the Scuba Diving Nomad, and today we're going to be taking a first look at the SMACO S400 Mini-scuba diving system. Now this video is going to be taken in a couple parts. The first is going to be a standard unboxing. Then we're going to charge the tank using a larger scuba tank. Then I'm going to do a little pool exercise and give you my review of what I thought about the item. Now I've already taken it out of the outside box because quite frankly it was really wrapped kind of hard and it would take me a while to get it undone. Once I opened it up, this little package was sitting on the outside of the main carton. I thought originally it was packing material, but when I opened it up I found this little device. This is the adapter to go from a scuba tank to the smaller tank to bring up the charge. Now there's three ways in which we can add air to this tank. One is by a special high pressure hand pump that they sell. Another is by a small electric compressor. And the third way is by transferring air from a charged scuba tank to the smaller tank. And this will be the method that I will use when we go to the pool and I fill the tank. Now when I opened up the outside box, on top was this little harness. It has a place to slide the tank in and secure it so that you can strap it around yourself when you go underwater. When we open up the box, the first thing you find is a user's manual. It's got a wrench in it and some extra O-rings. And inside we're going to find the standard tank. Now this is a 1 liter tank. And the size of the tanks can be confusing when you start talking about it. There's two methods to measure the size of the tank for scuba diving or any compressed air. The most common one that we see is cubic feet. The standard aluminum 80 will hold 80 cubic feet of air. Now that number is considered about how much air is in there when it's compressed to its rated air pressure. The air pressure generally used is 3,000 pounds per square inch, or it's equivalent to 200 bars. The other method to measure volume of a tank is what they call the water method, which is how much liquid can go into the tank uncompressed. Okay. And that's measured in liters. So you can't transfer cubic feet to liters as a measurement because it's different situations. However, a 1 cubic foot liter tank, a 1 liter tank in cubic feet comes out to about 6. Now 6 cubic feet is a standard, this is on the small size for a pony bottle, but they are very useful. In fact, Spare Air has a 3 cubic foot and a 6 cubic foot tank, where other companies that are going for just as a backup supply or a pony bottle will start at 6, go to 13 and up. So a 1 liter tank is a reasonable size to use as a backup air supply. Now, to control the air, we have what we call the first stage regulator. Now, this will screw into the top of the tank, and then you fill the tank up. You have an on-off valve and a place to hook your hose to your second stage. The purpose of the first stage is to reduce the air in the tank, which can be up to size 3,000 psi, down a little bit so that it can be further lowered for us to breathe. Now this version, the S400, has a pressure gauge built into the first stage. Their S400 Pro has this detached with a small hose, so it's easier to see. Another part of the system is what we call our second stage, and that's your regulator. The hose attaches to the first stage, and then as we breathe in and out, this diaphragm reduces the pressure of the air in the hose to equal the air pressure outside, the water pressure outside, so that the air we're breathing in is equal in pressures to the water surrounding us. Now, one of the items that these manufacturers of bottles this size will tell you that this bottle can last 15 to 20 minutes. That does not really seem likely in most situations. Because as we breathe air, let's say we're 30 feet down, 10 meters, the air that we're breathing in is twice as dense as the air we would breathe at the surface. So that means the amount of time that we have is reduced. Now, my plan for using this bottle is a alternate air source if I'm solo diving. So I don't need it to last a whole long. I just need it to last long enough for me to make a reasonable descent to the surface, and then have a few minutes for a safety stop at 5 meters or 15 feet before continuing the rest of the way to the surface. So if this thing will last me 10 minutes, that is fine. And if I'm diving at 60 feet or so, this should definitely last me 10 minutes. And I'll do, in the pool, I'll do a little bit of a breathing exercise to see how long this thing will actually last me. So that is basically what we have here for this device. I do want to add a few other personal cautions to this. This is a scuba tank. You should be trained as a scuba diver to use it. I've seen comments that this is great for children in the pool. I disagree with that unless the child understands that breathing compressed air, even only in a pool, can be dangerous if they don't know what they're doing. So all my comments on this review will be based on my use of it, which will be as a scuba diver, as an alternate air source. Now, I will say that many boaters love these devices because it allows them to quickly get underwater and look at the bottom of their boat if they think they hit something, or just to look at the general maintenance of it, or to dive down and unfoul a propeller or a anchor, things of that nature. But again, for my use, this is going to be used as an alternate air source. Next up, we're going to fill this thing, put it together. We're going to fill it up at the swimming pool and give it a try in the water. The small tank from the large tank. First thing we're doing is going to add the adapter. The adapter goes on just like a regulator would. Make sure it's nice and tight. Just thin and tight though. Then on the small tank you have this little connect there. This goes into here. Make sure it locks in place. Then slowly turn on your air and let it start filling the tank. And the little gauge here on the side will show you how much air you have in it. Alright, so this tank has got 2,500 in, so we're about equal. We're going to go ahead and the tank. Now we're ready to start. Hello, as you can tell my previous clip, I've been to the pool and back, and now I'm going to just give you an overview of what happened at the pool and what my overall feelings are for this SMACO S400. Now, at the pool, you saw me charge this from the main tank. That process took about a minute, maybe a little bit less. The actual transfer of air from the AL80 that I use to this tank only took about 20 seconds. Now, when I transferred the air from one tank to the other, I did not open the valve all the way. Even at the third of the way, this thing only took about 20-25 seconds to fill, but I could feel the heat built up inside the tank. Now, that's common and something to be expected, but there's no need to just rush it, saving 4 or 5 seconds to do it. So once it was filled, turned it off, had to use the pressure release on the connector, and then I could disconnect this from the adapter and then the adapter from the tank itself. Now, when I went into the water, I used just the tank and the harness. I got into the pool, stayed just below the surface for about 5 minutes, and concentrated on my breathing from the regulator to determine how the regulator worked for me. It was acceptable. This is not a high-end regulator. It's not even a high-quality octopus, which are normally not as expensive or detailed as a regular regulator. But it did work. The breathing on it was nice and smooth. I didn't feel any pressure or anything. Of course, most of the time I spent was just under the surface, but I did take this down to 15 feet, which would have brought it up another half atmosphere, and the breathing was still nice and smooth. So I foresee no problems taking this down to the 60 feet or even deeper. As far as using the air mounts, it was kind of hard to judge in a swimming pool, but I'm confident that this full tank, if I take it down to 60, even 80 feet, I will have plenty of time, if I needed to use it in emergency, to making a safe ascent to the surface, stopping for a 3-minute safety stop at 5 meters, 15 feet. So overall, the pool exercise was pretty good. One thing that I would have to say is that the harness for it worked fine in the pool, but I found out it really wouldn't work too well if I were wearing my BCD and my scuba tank. In the pool, I did don my entire scuba outfit, the tanks, slip fins, and all that, and found that the harness really didn't work with my BCD. Possibly if I can modify it some way, it will work, but for the time being, I'm just going to have to find a web clip to connect around the top here and hang from my BCD. It's not a major problem. I'll figure it out eventually. Anytime you add pieces of equipment, frequently you have to find a better way to sling it or hold it. Just a matter of getting used to what the new thing is. So overall, for using as a pony bottle for emergencies, I do find it acceptable. I will use it as such. So as I go into more solo diving, this will be my alternate air source. Overall, I have nothing negative to say about it. Everything seems to be working fine. Thank you.